Our next speaker today is a lady who was born in Mauritius. She was raised in Bangalore from age 3. She acquired degrees in humanities, went to London to study interior design, and then to a premier design school in New York, the Parsons School of Design, enrolling herself for a 4-year design program. Husna Rahaman, principal architect, Falcon Studio, is an infusion of many cultures and opinions, an artist who believes that the act of creation is the closest that one can be brought to the creator. She has been awarded for her craft and vision and has recently been named among the top 10 female-led firms in the world by Arch Daily. With the philosophy of her studio being the way in which its associates feel and interact every day, it is at its core a creative laboratory of adventurers, discoverers and high-spirited playmates. And this comes through the lines they draft, the dreams that they weave, and the zeal with which they stake claim to reality, the finished project. Husna sees opportunity in the crisis that we face as a creed, a need to bring our best to the world stage. Husna was largely brought up by her grandmother and is greatly influenced by her. A very strong lady who had a lot of dreams when she was a child, when it wasn't possible to have ambition or the freedom to do what she wanted to do. But she was a great cook. At age 85, she penned down her legacy of recipes that Husna put together into a book, Hajra's Recipes of Life for Life, of which I'm very proud to have my own personal copy. The recipe of life is what Husna lives by even today. And she would like to share a video about her grandmom that was shot 10 years ago that doesn't speak of hardships at all, but is full of gratitude and happy thoughts and achievements, and a mantra for life. This is Husna's source of strength. Her grandmother, though no longer with her in the physical realm, is always there navigating through the grand oceanic journey of life. May we have the video?
85 years this year, and it seems like the other day that I dreamt a dream. A dream dreamt standing in a modest kitchen, fragranced by the crackling of cinnamon. I can hear the sound of my hungry young ones. Tasim always rolled the chapatis. Nikat roasted them on the tawa, and Maksud helped clear up. Simple meals made with the freshest ingredients, with the generous helping of what a mother has in abundance, love. It was while watching the earnest appreciation on the faces of my children that I dreamt, while still awake, that I would someday share with the world what my world has given me. In the 1950s, life for women was not as it is today. We were solely homemakers and discouraged from an academic track. I regret that I have managed to dim through the empowerment of my children. Widowed early in life, I learnt I had to be every avatar that was needed to forge the way ahead. Now it was up to my children who left for Dubai, and they prevailed. And the next generation of grandchildren was a gift. Husna came to me when she was only 3, and by then I had nothing but time to give her. Ahmed and Mansoor and Sahil came much later. My children showed me the world and the splendor of living and being truly alive. I now visited places that I had read about sitting as a young girl in the public library in Covent Park reading Charles Dickens and Oscar Wilde. Life really came to life like magic. It was wonderful. The adventure with the book started 2 years ago. We found a publisher and I was overjoyed. The family has been steadfast in getting me here today. I am not a celebrity chef, neither have I studied at a fancy school. I have been an avid student of the school of life. Learning and teaching, what else is life about? My legacy to my children is my philosophy that what you put into life, you will take out. So love what you have, what you do. And when you add those ingredients to the pot, add an extra sprinkling of love. It's the recipe of life for life.
Love what you have, love what you do. Amazing words from Husna's grandmother. May I now call upon Husna to share her presentation.
I haven't seen that in a while, and yet it feels like I see it all the time. The immensity of being here is not lost upon me. I stand upon the unrealized dreams of millions of women. And it is for them that our voices must be heard today, in this room, and in every room of consequence. Their sacrifice cannot go unnoticed and unrevered. The time has come. My grandmother and my mother. It's grit and gumption that gets us through our lives. And as women, I believe that we have reservoirs of it like no one else. Stand steadfast is what I've been told, and reach for the stars, because you'll reach further than you can ever imagine. It's all about our perspective, isn't it? How do we view ourselves and the world? Do we see ourselves through the narrow lens of feminism or masculinity, or do we want to be more magnanimous? Do we see it from the point of view of being a human, and hence more humane for all of humanity? We have to come together as a creed. For in coming together lies the inventiveness, the cross-collaboration, and the solutions which we need in times more chillingly unambiguous than any other. We pass our baton to the next generation, and they count on us. They count on their mothers and the women for creative solutions for the next 25 years, to give them a world where they don't turn around and say, why did you not do what you could do in the time that you could do it? And that's the onus on us. Interesting, though, that we expect for our needs to be understood and manifested when only 12% of women create the rules. Policymakers, engineers, urban planners, they're all men. How do we expect to be represented when we don't make the calls? What is a woman more likely to produce? A sterile environment where there is no color, no variation, which does not induce the desire to be more than you can be, and increase the ability to feel despair and somehow the ability that you simply cannot succeed. What are we capable of doing? By the year 2050, 66% of the world's population are going to inhabit cities, and more by the turn of the century. This is what we have. These are our cities. They are our playgrounds. They are our homes. And we need to understand the importance that they impact upon us. But cities aren't built from bricks and stones, are they? They're built from shared dreams, emotions, history and cultural texture. We paint our lives on the cities. We breathe life into them. They are beyond our homes and our offices. And we must treat them with the reverence that they treat us. Cities are places where we unlock our dreams. We manifest our hopes. We breathe, we live, we dance, we cry. We have hopes for our aspirations and our relationships and so much more. And these cities need to be vibrant, and they need to give us the diversity and the inspiration to be more than we can be. The craft in India is incredible and immense. And what I would like to see is that craft becoming something as creative people that we harness into the mainstream of our lives, because every woman's life that we touch families. And business only matters when you can connect more people, connect the eco-socioeconomic group so that you connect the weaver with the person in the ivory tower, bring them together through your creativity, and that's when you're really creative. Could we explore the possibility and expand the idea of luxury to be more than something a few privileged few can access? Can we create products which can be accessed by a larger demographic, by people who enjoy the plushness, the exoticism, the diversity, the beauty of things that we can make available to them just by changing the vocabulary in which we perceive things? Doesn't everybody deserve the best? Louise Bourgeois is a woman who wore her life on her sleeve. She had a very tortured life, and she brought her design to life. She would create sculpture and then break it, because every time she did that, she felt that she had negotiated with the past trauma. An incredible sculpture, which to me represents everything, is one of a huge cantilevered curve with a uterus at the end, and on this side, delicate weights, which, if moved even a tad, would then crumble. Does that sometimes represent our lives? Women, immense and intense women. Latika Nath, who's the first conservationist of this country, who still says that her biggest challenge is being a woman in a man's world, who's known as the Princess of Tigers, and who's also known as the conservationist in the chiffon saris. But if you know who you are, stick to your dream. Maya Lin, who was a student and won the ability to build the Vietnam Memorial, when the whole world said that this was too minimal a design, and she still went with her emotive gut and said that this would cause people to tear. And to this day, veterans will stand at the wall and weep. The conviction of poetry. Hunters and gatherers, 12,000 years ago, this is who we were. Does this still define in many ways why our roles are etched in our gender manifestation? I think they did a lot better than us. They did not deplete the resources of the world the way we do. They were more sensitive to it back then. Whispers in the wind, what we tell our children, and most often what we do not, is what they will take with them. So let's take them to the highest watchtower. They can no longer see the lines in the sand, but they can see the horizon and feel that anything but anything is possible. You know, statistically, we might well outlive the men. So those benches in shared spaces are going to be very necessary. Let's imagine a world in which we can sit and speak to each other, where strangers can become friends, where we can share our stories and our lives, where we do not need the people we depend upon because the world has come together to be together. In the urban chaos, can we perceive a pause? Can we have spiritual spaces of conduits of connectivity, where walkability for women becomes conceivable, where safety, where just being allowed to roam a city freely with your spirits high? Is that something that we can conceive together? My legacy is what you put in is what you get out. And with that, you add a massive dollop of love, and you have the recipe of life for life. I pass that on to my daughter, who in New York pursues her studies in architecture, and who realizes that she comes from a lineage of women, my mother in the audience, who know that you're only as wonderful as the life you live. So live deep. Enjoy every moment of your existence. Allow your life to grace you with every strength, because what you put in is eventually what you will take out. Thank you.
Thank you, Husna. That was a very fascinating